Typical major film studio components. By the 1950s, the physical components of a typical major film studio had become standard. Since then, a major film studio has usually been housed inside a physically secure compound with a high wall, which protects filmmaking operations from unwanted interference from paparazzi and crazed fans of leading movie stars. Movement in and out of the studio is normally limited to specific gates, often capped with grand decorative arches, where visitors must stop at a boom barrier and explain the purpose of their visit to a security guard. Studio premises generally feature multiple sound stages along with an outside backlot, as well as offices for studio execs and production companies. There's normally a studio commissary, which is the traditional term in the film industry for what other industries call a company cafeteria. Early nitrate film was notoriously flammable, and sets were and are still very flammable, which is why film studios built in the early to mid 20th century have water towers to facilitate firefighting. These studios were first set up like military compounds. The military and government worked very closely with Hellyweird in order to push propaganda. The entire industry can now be seen as a breeding ground for espionage, mind control, child trafficking, and other forms of bondage which required secrecy. These Revelation 2-9ers would be credited with the creation of Hollywood as we know it via these studios in particular. Studios, places where you studied the craft. Supposedly concerned about the cultural influence these studio execs would have on America, the president of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, Will Hayes, would attempt to curb the degenerate content by introducing the Hays Code in 1930. By the mid-1920s, the evolution of a handful of American production companies turned into wealthy motion picture industry conglomerates that owned their own studios, distribution divisions, and theaters, and contracted with performers and other filmmaking personnel, led to the sometimes confusing equation of a studio with production company in industry slang. 5 large companies, 20th Century Fox, RKO Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, came to be known as the Big Five, the majors or the studios in trade publications such as Variety, and their management structures and practices collectively came to be known as the studio system. The Big Five's ownership of movie theaters was eventually opposed by 8 independent producers, including Samuel Goldwyn, David O. Selznick, Walt Disney, Hal Roach, and Walter Wanger. In 1948, the federal government won a case against Paramount in the Supreme Court, which ruled that the vertically integrated structure of the movie industry constituted an illegal monopoly. This decision, reached after 12 years of litigation, hastened the end of the studio system in Hollywood's golden age. Smaller studios operated simultaneously with the majors. These included operations such as Republic Pictures, active from 1935, which produced films that occasionally matched the scale and ambition of the larger studio, and Monogram Pictures, which specialized in series and genre releases. Together with smaller outfits such as PRC, TKO, and Grand National, the minor studios filled the demand for B-movies and are sometimes collectively referred to as Poverty Row. Although they own few or no theaters to guarantee the sales of their films, Universal Pictures, Columbia Pictures, and United Artists also fell under these rubrics. making a total of 8 generally recognized major studios. United Artists, although its controlling partners owned not 1 but 2 production studios during the Golden Age, had an often tenuous hold on the title of major, and operated mainly as a backer and distributor of independently produced films. Funny how the film industry needed sunlight. Electric lighting had not been developed that was powerful enough for the film industry's needs. The best source of illumination for motion picture production was natural sunlight. Some movies were shot on the roofs of buildings in downtown Los Angeles. Early movie producers also relocated to Southern Cal to escape Edison's Motion Picture Patents Company, which controlled almost all the patents relevant to movie production at the time. Thomas Edison built the first film studio near his lab in New Jersey. He called it Black Maria Studios. Its first production was in 1912 called What Happened to Mary. As you can see from the start, Hollywood has been about elevating the mother goddess, queen of heaven, Isis, using the sun or divine light of sun god Apollo, Osiris, Lucifer, to shine on and appear to exalt her elevated but soulless, lifeless body as a star. The use of the lion as the logo of one of the most powerful and long-lasting Hollywood film studios has layered meanings. The mockery of Jesus, true Lion of Judah, number one. Admission that they are the counterfeit, or 1 Peter 5 and 8 line, number 2. And number 3, the astrotheology of Leo, the sun god's sign, and the astrological spirit of 1 John 2 and 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. Hellyweird is dedicated to the exaltation of man as God and the promotion of worldliness and carnality. Although it had to disguise itself in more innocent facades in order to gain acceptance at first. This is the same formula that television would follow years later, by the way. The intent of the film industry was never meant to merely delight. It was to delight, or take away the light of the world, like debone, take away the bones from the meat, and replace him with darkness. It was to amuse, or to bind a spirit or muse to the unwitting vessel that absorbs and receives its messages without a filter. It was to charm. It was to enchant or bind a cursed chant, song or idea to the distracted. To distract is to be taken off one's tract or path. Look up the definition for entertain and note its synonyms. Enter means to go into, and tain is a form of tame. Mint is a root of the word mind, M-E-N-T, as exhibited in the word mentality. That's entertainment. We entertain or give attention to the films that pique our interest, to enter mind, body, and soul, and rest therein. Enter rest. The Lion UN created and U.S. government-backed Zionists, who claim to be God's chosen people, are well known as the dominant ethnic group in Hollywood. It is not an indication of prejudice or racism to note that there is an ethnic group that dominates the NBA players roster or the country music industry. So let us be mature and take no shame or pride in knowing that Revelation 2:9 infiltrators have controlled Hollywood since its creation. Kali is a devourer. So is the lion of 1 Peter 5 and 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Scripture warns us of the devil's use of women as a catalyst for a second fall, so to speak. The world is under the spell of the QMG, Queen Mother Goddess, whether Isis, Kali, Ishtar, Nana, etc. The names, even the costumes change, but the game's the same. most die tormented, demented, and penniless. What's so golden about that? From coast to coast, the film residue, it's called film industry, relies upon the spirit of Leviathan, or law of Athens, king of the sons of pride. A studio is a manufacturing plant. Most plants have unions. Hollywood is no exception. The SAG Award is given away by the Screen Actors Guild. A guild is a noun meaning a medieval association of craftsmen or merchants, often having considerable power. Many are aware of the Oscar Award and its origins, both stated and occult, but not as many people speak on the SAG, which means to drop, droop, sink, subside, or bulge downward under weight or pressure or through lack of strength, or the statue the organization awards to compliant Hermesites. Tell me who this statue is and why he is used in the comment section, please. Show me that you've been listening to the many ways the Lord has had me to reveal the links between Jan, Janus, the three pillars, 11, the twins of astrology, Hermes, and hypocrisy by expanding on the meaning of this statue in the comment section. The distance from Venezuela to Colombia, by the way, is 545 miles, which has duality in it. Why is our capital called a district of the cocaine capital, Colombia? You have Columbus, Columbine, Colombo, Columba flower, Columba bird, and the District of Columbia, all relating to the U.S. Then you have Russia, Iran, and China, all backing Venezuela. Venezuela is what that means. The U.S. reps Colombia to the fullest. But let not your heart be troubled by these wars and rumors of wars. The world's nations are all one, indivisible, under their God, who portrays himself as a goddess or queen of heaven, Venus or Columbia. Don't think that Black History Month will come and go without this Christian truther and native Detroiter expounding on the significant role that Hollywood has played in shaping our ideas about various nationalities, especially so-called Black Americans, who are still very key components to the entertainment industry in general. Count on it like a calculator. The devil is an equal opportunity destroyer, and there is a method to his madness. Hollywood is about programming the masses for the new Atlantis, the age of Horus, the new age of a new world order. And the stars represent the new gods or idols of this age. They are not only the modern ministers of Lucifer, but the examples that he wants us to tragically follow and love to death. Yes, he promises generational wealth in exchange for your sound mind, will, and body, but he binds generational familiar curses upon all who pridefully aspire as he did to be worshipped as God, Isaiah 14:14. Now let's meet some of his big unhappy family.
you got to drive along. Oh, you got to drive along. Oh, you got to drive along.
It's time for another message from the New World Order. We need to talk about our economy and your future in our world order.
First, we occupy
Wall Street. Silly little demonstration with people all in a tizzy
have failed.
No one hears or sees you unless we say so.